What's up, Bama State? It's Kendal Mans, sports editor for the Hornet Tribune, and I'm here with my co-host,
Khalil Stewart. I'm the assistant sports editor.
and this is another episode of The Wild Card, where we talk everything ASU sports. If you didn't tune in to last week's episode, make sure you go back and watch that. But for now, we got a new week, new topics. Let's not waste any more time, and let's get into it.
Absolutely.
First up, we got track. They just finished their regular season of indoor, and we want to highlight a few standouts from their season. Khalil, who you want to start out with first?
So overall, I want to take the opportunity to show everybody their appreciation, all the athletes. I feel like they all had a great season, but there are three that I want to mention. And I'm going to start with junior Marcus Cade. He's a jumper. In Birmingham, he claimed the high jump title with a clearance of 1.95 meters, and he also took the long jump clearance with a 7.7 meters. Next, I want to talk about junior Vanille Grant. She placed third in the 400 in Birmingham with a 57.49. Congratulations on that.
Absolutely.
Then she took it on the road in Kentucky. She ran the second fastest time in the SWAC with a 56.96. Finally, let's talk about the freshman Shamaya Jones. She ran the fastest 800 time in the SWAC with a 2:12.5. Kendall, who you got for me?
Man, I got some all-stars too. First up, we got Cedric Jones, sophomore pole vaulter. He does everything. He earned three of the top 10 finishes at the Vulcan Invitational. He was fifth in the high jump at 1.76 meters. He was seventh in the pole vault at 4 meters, and he was 10th in the 60-meter hurdle at 8.8 seconds. Next up, we got the men's 4x4 team, consisting of Nicholas Mosley, Mason Foster, Kevin Smith, and Matthew Clark. They finished second at the BSC Icebreaker meet with a time of 3:22. And lastly, I got another sophomore for you.
Going young.
It's a distance runner this time, though. Rebecca Bernardin. She finished third in the 800 meter with a time of 2:21 at the BSC Icebreaker meet.
So, congratulations to all those athletes. We want to take our opportunity to wish them the best of luck as they travel to Birmingham for the SWAC championship next week.
Good luck to you guys for sure.
Bring home some gold.
Absolutely.
Next, we want to take a transition over into the women's basketball team. Very up and down road trip for them. Took a horrible loss to Grambling, but followed it up with the comeback win over Southern. How'd you feel about that?
You know, like you said, it was a tale of two teams. Against Grambling, they had a tough loss, 88-56, and against Southern, they had a comeback win, 61-58. I think in that week you saw them at their best and you saw them at their worst. So, I guess I want to go into into that Grambling game because that was like a kind of an outlier for them. They had their worst offensive production against a SWAC opponent since Arkansas Pine Bluff, which was 54 points. And we've watched this team enough. We've seen what they do well. We've seen what they don't do well.
Definitely.
And I think really this game comes down to what they just didn't do well. You know, they love to shoot threes. They're good at threes. They're good at hitting threes. And
I'm not going to say nothing about that.
They have capable three-point shooters. How about that?
They do.
And they shot 4-17 from the three-point line. That's tough for them because, like we just said, they have a lot of capable shooters. And when they can shoot, they're on. Second chance points. That's big for them. They got the bigs, Shamaya Ward, Jada Neji, Farrah Pearson. They got a lot of bigs that do a lot of work in the paint. Three second chance points. You can't really do nothing with that. So a rough game for them there. They love to go in transition. 2 fast break points. As you can tell, it's like they're not playing like themselves, and it's obvious that that was the ending result.
Absolutely. So for me, you mentioned that they're a great 3-point shooting team. They have capable 3-point shooters, but
I saw your face. I knew you were saying something about
they rank bottom 3 of the SWAC in 3-point shooting, 29%. Come on, get your facts straight.
I said they have capable.
I don't want to hear. No, you said at first you said they were great,
and I corrected myself. I did.
Okay.
All right then.
I'm gonna let you slide for right now.
Okay then. All right.
Anyways, first game against Grambling, I questioned the effort. They were not who they're not. They didn't play like the team that we saw last year competing in the SWAC championship. That
Absolutely.
was not.
I can agree with you on that.
I don't know what was going on with them. Maybe it was a bad night of sleep, a rough road trip, but that trailing by 38. That's not them at all. At I question effort. They allow 18 second chance points. 18. And then like I mentioned, trailing by 38, they allowed 28 points in the game, points in the paint. They shot 23% from 3, 47% from the free throw line, and they have pretty good free throw shooters in my opinion. But what that tells me about them, anytime you get 18 turnovers, you know what that tells me? You're not here.
In their defense, they do average a lot of turnovers a game.
They do, but coming down the stretch of the season, closing out this
season, you can't make those mistakes. I definitely agree with you.
You do that in March in the SWAC tournament in Birmingham.
That's how you lose games.
You're going home first round. Yeah. Forget it. It's a wrap. And then you followed it up. Even against Southern, 29 turnovers, almost 30. Yep. You know, if you're going to turn the ball over, keep it under 20, under 15. That's the keys to success. Because you look at a team like Jackson State, who still hasn't lost a game in the SWAC.
They're dominating right now.
They are dominating. They're running away with the SWAC East. We're not about to catch them. It's enough games left, but you're going to be banking on Jackson State losing games. Yeah. So, long-term solution, hit your threes, make your free throws, because against teams like this, as you end the season, you got to do the little things right.
I think another thing with the Southern game is that they battled the whole night. Like you said, they didn't seem like they were really in it with the Grambling. They battled the whole night against Southern. And I think it paid off in the fourth when, you know, their big three stepped up. They scored all of their points except for one, which DK Sanders hit a free throw. But, you know, Jayla Crawford stood out to me. She didn't score the whole first three quarters. Next thing you know, she catches fire and scores 8 points with 2 big threes in the fourth.
I got a question, though. What do you make of Shamaya Ward coming off the bench in the Southern game?
I think Shamaya coming off the bench, I mean, we know she has a little bit of an injury history with her knee and stuff like that. I think that it does give them an extra boost off the bench for sure.
Scoring.
Absolutely. They had 28 bench points, and she was responsible for that a lot. But I feel like at the end of the day, it makes them more versatile. Yeah, it makes them deeper as well. But nonetheless, the women are tied with Grambling for third in the SWAC at 7-4 in the conference, and they take on Arkansas Pine Bluff tomorrow at 2:00 in the Acadome. Make sure you guys come out and support. But at this point in the season, every game matters. And speaking of every game matters, the guys, it also applies. And ironically, the guys went 1-1 as well on the Louisiana trip, but it was kind of flipped. So they lost against Southern, and they won against Grambling. So Khalil, what were your thoughts on the guys?
So you can't mention their victory against Grambling without saying the name Juan Arena.
Absolutely.
We're going to hear his name later in the shows. We give him, an award. But, he set the tone early in the first half with 18 points. I sent you a text. I said, he's going for 40. He going for 40.
Yeah.
Didn't get quite close to that.
Finished with,
25 points in 26 minutes. That's spectacular.
He showed off a lot of versatility too.
This whole week,
honestly. A lot
of
versatility.
Yeah.
A lot of times I think we look at him as just a shooter, and he put the ball on the floor and got to the rim. That's something big for him.
Definitely, but they snapped the 5-game winning streak of a Grambling team that's very talented. This has been a tough. These last 3 to 4 games for this ASU Hornets team has been tough.
Very tough.
You faced the number 1 team in the SWAC and fam. You followed it up with Grambling, and then you had to face Southern is the number 1 team. My mistake in the SWAC. So Grambling is second. And to let you know how good this Southern team is, back in December, they went on the road to face the number 5 ranked team in the nation, Kentucky, and they were down by 4 points at the halftime. Yeah. That lets you know how good they are. We will see them in the March Madness coming up soon. But what was your take?
I feel like with this men's team, it really is all summed up by a quote from Mo Williams after the Grambling State game. He said, "A big point of emphasis is not standing around the 3-point line and settling to attack the basket, and if they help, have a kick out 3. I thought we did a great job of attacking the paint and finishing. Like I said, that was after the Grambling State game. You go back to the Southern game, or you go forward to the Southern game, that's not really the case."
Yeah, but you gotta give them credit. They did beat a very good Grambling team.
Absolutely, and I'm not taking that away from them. But they lost to a Southern team that the field goal percentages were almost identical.
Yeah,
they lost to that team because Southern put up 70 shots, and the Hornets put up 52.
Yeah. Got outscored 36-20.
Absolutely.
In the paint.
This team can score, but when they're having an off night, they're not aggressive.
Yeah.
And we both know you can't win games if you stop being aggressive because you're not scoring.
My overall take on this is when you play teams that are better than you for sure, have more talent, better record, you have to do the little things right. Rebounding, second chance points, and when you give up 22 second chance points, that's a recipe for disaster.
Really hard to win games like that.
Hopefully the guys can pick up a win this weekend as they take on Arkansas Pine Bluff. We know how important momentum is, and let's see what they do.
Absolutely.
But Kendal, we had an opportunity to travel to the softball game. Very interesting.
They're
game.
back.
They're back.
They're back.
Absolutely. The defending champs show why they are the defending champions.
Absolutely.
So we got a chance to see them against Purdue Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled out the victory 7-0.
In the Stigma
What
Classic.
were your biggest takeaways from that game?
We got to think about it. This team was predicted to win the preseason polls. Mm-hmm. They were predicted to win it all. They're coming off of a championship season, like you just said. Mm-hmm. This is a good team, and they showed it in that game that we watched today. I don't think that you can say anything about that team without talking about Bailey Greenlee.
Absolutely.
She has a cannon for an arm. Mm-hmm. And she was throwing heat the entire game.
Whole game we hear.
Oh my gosh. Like she is insane. Mm-hmm. We talked about their preseason all SWAC honorees last week. Alex Massey, Jada Gardner, Madison Myers. I feel like they showed why they were the champions last year, and they got a great start to the season.
Absolutely. And the thing about once you win a championship and have that in your mind that, okay, I'm a champion, you're going to come into the next season either one or two ways. You're going to come in with the confidence and you're going to play hot because you know every team that you play you're superior to them. Yeah. Or you're going to come in off a championship hangover. And personally, I didn't know what to expect because I thought, maybe they're going to come out sluggish. They're going to come out, soaking on last season, but they didn't at all. They came out there, as you mentioned, pitching was great. Bailey Greenlee, she's amazing. She actually, I got a crazy stat for y'all. She allowed her first run given up the whole ASU career. And she's a junior.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Shout out to her for that. That's amazing.
Absolutely, that is crazy.
But, I'm excited for what this team.
Oh, very.
I'm excited for what's going to happen.
I was already excited before, but now I'm absolutely even more excited.
Definitely. So, we're going to see what happens with them as we, go through the rest of the season. But now, it's time for the best segment of the show.
Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the best in the nest.
You didn't match my energy with that. You got to pick that up. Go ahead.
You're right.
Now it's time for the best segment of the show.
Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the best in the nest, where we give a shout out to the best performances of the past week. First up, we got the track team at the Jaguar Invitational. First up, we got Kiana Evans, who timed a 24.5 in the 200 meter, which was the fastest time of the season in this event and a PR for her, beating a previous mark of 24.8. Next, we got Vanell Grant, and before I go any deeper,
Two-time nomination.
Absolutely, 2 times. 2 times she makes this list. A first Hornet to do that. Shout out to Vanell. She ran a 56.9 in the 400 meter, which was second fastest in the conference, and she finished 3rd overall in the meet. Next up, we got Shamaya Jones, who finished with the fastest time in the conference in the 800 meter at 2:12. She also finished 3rd place overall at the meet. Next up, we got Juan Reyna. We talked about him a little bit earlier. He shot a career-high 25 points for versus Grambling. He shot 4 or 5 from long range and a perfect 7 for 7 from the free throw line. He averaged 20 points in the last 2 games, which earned him SWAC Impact Player of the Week. Moving on to baseball, we got a lot of guys. Yep. First up, we got Breon Pooler, who was named SWAC Preseason Pitcher of the Year. He was also named to the All-SWAC preseason teams with 8 other Hornets. For the first team, we got Breon Pooler, Hunter May, Jabronsky Williams, and Christopher DeGuzman. For the second team, we got Chris Lewis, Jaden Sloan, Trenton Jamison, Angel Jimenez, and Peyton Harris. We want to congratulate all the Hornets from this past week, and we got a lot of ballers, and we're looking forward to adding more next week. Make sure you guys tune in and see who makes this list.
Appreciate it, Kendal.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in this episode. We do appreciate all the love and support in advance. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow our Instagram at Hornet Tribune, and tune in next week for another episode of The Wild Card.
We kind of flew by that.